A lot of hypnotists and coaches are easily fooled by what sounds like a good answer from their client, and they can spend half a session or an entire session or multiple sessions pursuing a train of thought that is actually completely a waste of time. And so in this video, I want to introduce one simple question that you can use to test things early on to make sure that you're actually going down a good path. And so if you're familiar with advanced conversational hypnosis, the idea is that you want to identify unconscious moments that occur naturally while you're having a conversation with them about their problem. You're kind of interviewing the problem, so to speak, gathering data, and you're looking for moments when they naturally drift into trance. You're then going to seize upon those opportunities to take them deeper, to untie different knots around that problem, and to allow them to go into that place of trance to solve the problem on their own. And what often derails people and gets them off into territory that is a complete waste of time is when they hear an answer that sounds really good, that sounds really juicy, that sounds almost like it's an unconscious moment for most of the clients that they've worked with in the past. And so they assume that this would also be a good path to go down. Now, most of the time, this is because you're actually just listening to the content of their response and not how they say it. So to give a really specific example, you might be dealing with a client who is talking about their desire to get over a breakup. And at some point in the conversation, they mention, well, I guess I just never really felt loved as a kid. To the vast majority of coaches and hypnotists, they would jump on that no matter what and say, well, let's explore that. I'm sure there's stuff there. They would want you to talk to your child self, visualize it, heal something from the past, and then everything would be fixed. And that might be a path worth going down. It all depends on whether or not the way that they say it actually has unconsciousness to it. Were there unconscious moments while they were saying it? If yes, then go down it. If not, then don't. But sometimes you're unsure. Sometimes they say it in a very serious tone. They say it in a way where it feels like it could or could not be. And you need to make sure that whatever is popping up is actually going to be something that is worth spending a lot of time exploring. Because you could spend a lot of time talking about someone's childhood. But what if you're dealing with a client who has already thought about these things a lot? What if you're talking to someone who's been to years and years of therapy, who's worked with a bunch of different coaches and hypnotists, and now they're coming to you and they're like, well, we usually talk about this, so let's just go back down that path. An extremely simple question you can ask is, have you thought about that before? Or have you felt that before? Regardless of whether it's an emotion that pops up, a story, a memory, you want to ask them if that is something that typically happens. Now, what are we doing with that question? We are simply getting them to tell us pretty directly whether or not this is something new or not. If it's not something new, if it's something that they regularly think about, if it's something they've talked about with people all the time, then they'll probably say something like, oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure this is something that I journal about, meditate about all the time. If that's the case, that's probably not the path you want to go down. They've probably exhausted the possibility of finding new solutions and resources there. It's better to go somewhere else. But if they say something like, no, I've never thought about that in relation to this problem before, and you can kind of see it in their eyes like they're still exploring something new, that is a gold mine. Definitely go down that path. Or if they say, yes, I've thought about it, but not for a long time, or yes, I've thought about it, but I didn't think this was still a problem for me, those are still good openings worth exploring. And the specific thing that I'm trying to help you overcome is the temptation to just think, well, based on the content of what they said, this sounds like there should be some juicy elements here. But it's very possible that they're just giving you the answer that they think would be helpful. One of the most frustrating things is when clients try to help you because they are going to just pull toward resources that they've already used before. It's like, oh yeah, this worked last time I went into trance, or this worked the last time I talked about this problem. It clearly didn't fully solve the problem, so we need to do something different. And so just asking, how often does this happen? Have you felt that before? Have you thought about this before? Have you thought about this in relation to this problem? Gives you some insight on how much of a real new resource this is versus how much are they just rehashing the same territory.